The British public was left shocked this morning after a dramatic live TV interview spiraled into chaos. What started as a routine conversation about winter fuel payments turned into a heated exchange between Eamonn Holmes and Labour MP Jake Richards. Holmes, visibly agitated, unleashed a fiery tirade that left Richards scrambling to defend his party's stance. In what can only be described as a rare outburst, Holmes didn't hold back, accusing the Labour Party of betraying pensioners with their new policy on means-testing winter fuel payments. The intensity of the confrontation has since gone viral, sparking a national debate over Labour's leadership and their handling of public finances. The interview, initially set to be a straightforward discussion on government financial policies, took a sharp turn when Holmes confronted Richards about Labour's decision to cut winter fuel payments for many pensioners. The decision, which Labour justifies as part of a broader strategy to fix a £22 billion black hole in public finances, has faced fierce backlash from the public and media alike. For many pensioners, these payments are more than just a financial bonus. They are essential for staying warm during the harsh British winters. In typical political interviews, exchanges tend to follow a script of back-and-forth talking points, but this one was different. Holmes came prepared, and it was clear that he had a bone to pick with Labour. The frustration was written all over his face as he launched into an impassioned critique of the policy, hammering home the point that cutting winter fuel payments felt like an abandonment of the elderly. How can a party that claims to stand up for the vulnerable justify this? He demanded, his voice thick with disbelief. Richards, seemingly caught off guard by the ferocity of Holmes' attack, tried to stick to the official Labour line. He calmly explained that tough decisions are necessary to stabilize the economy and fill the budget gap. But his rehearsed responses did little to quell Holmes' growing frustration, and the conversation quickly escalated into a full-blown confrontation. Labour has found itself walking a tightrope in recent years, trying to balance its traditional progressive ideals with the pressing need to manage public finances responsibly. Under the leadership of Keir Starmer, the party promised a more fiscally responsible approach, a clear departure from the Corbyn-era policies that many believed were too left-wing. Starmer's leadership started with great promise, with many hoping he could unite the fractured party and rebuild its reputation after its devastating loss in the 2019 election. But as time has passed, it has become increasingly clear that his attempts to walk this fine line have left both the left wing of the party and its more moderate members feeling alienated. On the one hand, Labour's left wing accuses Starmer of abandoning the party's core principles, pointing to policies like the means testing of winter fuel payments as evidence that the party is shifting too far to the right. They argue that Labour should be standing up for the vulnerable, not cutting essential support during a time of crisis. On the other hand, Labour's more moderate supporters worry that the party is playing it too safe, failing to deliver the meaningful changes that are needed to address the country's economic challenges. This growing tension within the party has led to increasing dissatisfaction with Starmer's leadership. What was once seen as a hopeful new era for Labour is now being described by critics as a period of indecision and inaction. The winter fuel payment controversy has only added fuel to the fire, and the question now is whether Starmer can weather this storm or if it will mark the beginning of his downfall. While politicians debate the merits of Labour's policies in the abstract, the reality on the ground is starkly different. For many pensioners, the loss of winter fuel payments could have devastating consequences. With energy prices soaring and inflation driving up the cost of living, older Britons are already struggling to make ends meet. These payments, while not large, provide a lifeline for those on a fixed income, allowing them to heat their homes during the cold winter months. Holmes tapped into this deep sense of frustration and fear, painting a vivid picture of what life without these payments will look like for pensioners. "You can talk about filling gaps in public finances all you want," he said, his voice shaking with emotion. "But that doesn't help the elderly couple sitting in a freezing house this winter, too scared to turn on the heating because they can't afford it." His words cut through the political jargon and brought the conversation back to the human cost of these decisions. For pensioners, this isn't about abstract concepts like fiscal responsibility or budget gaps. It's about survival. And as Holmes pointed out, Labor's decision to cut these payments feels like a betrayal of the very people they claim to protect. As the conversation continued, it became clear that Holmes wasn't going to let Richards off the hook easily. He pushed further, calling out what he saw as the hypocrisy of Labor's stance. "You say you're for the weak, the elderly, and the vulnerable," he said, his voice rising with anger. "But look at what you're doing. You're cutting off support when they need it most." Richards, clearly rattled by the intensity of the exchange, struggled to defend the policy. He repeated the same talking points about the need to fill the budget gap and ensure long-term stability, but his responses felt robotic and disconnected from the reality Holmes was describing. As the conversation grew more heated, it became clear that Richards was losing control of the narrative, and the damage was done. For many viewers, this confrontation wasn't just about the specific policy of winter fuel payments. It was a symbol of a broader crisis within the Labor Party. The party that once prided itself on standing up for the working class and the vulnerable now seemed out of touch with the struggles of everyday people. Holmes's emotional and raw approach had struck a chord, exposing the growing disconnect between Labor's leadership and its base. The aftermath of this explosive interview has sent shockwaves through the political landscape. Social media has been ablaze with reactions, with many praising Holmes for speaking truth to power and holding Labor accountable. His confrontation with Richards has quickly become a viral talking point, with clips of the exchange being shared widely across platforms like Twitter and Facebook. Meanwhile, within the Labor Party, the fallout has been equally significant. The party's annual conference, which was already set, please subscribe our channel for more updates. Stay with us. Thanks for watching. Take care and goodbye.